So what is zero waste design, you may ask, and why should I care? A zero waste design is a way of designing sewing patterns to completely use a given piece of fabric without any leftover scraps. In this way of making clothes, you can save money, fabric, and eliminate or minimize waste going into landfills. Hello, my friend. I would like to introduce zero waste design to you today. I am very excited about zero waste design. However, there are some pros and cons that I'd like to discuss with you and help you decide if you want to create zero waste garments. Lastly, I'll provide you with an easy solution to customize your own zero waste patterns. The usual approach to zero waste garment cutting and designing is based on the size of your fabric.
So for example, if you have a piece of fabric that you'll get from the store, normally it comes in a big roll, and then this would be the width, and this width will vary from fabric to fabric, and then you can buy however long a piece of fabric you need. In case of zero waste design, let's say a person is creating a skirt and they need a skirt to be like this long, and then in zero waste design you would just cut along this line, and depending on the width of this fabric, if you
Have enough for your hip measurement plus enough for gathering.
this width would be enough, and then you would cut another piece and then gather the top. Let's say if you're a much smaller person and you only need this much space and this much space for your front and back, then that's perfect. If you are smaller, this could be, the gather could be too much. But if you're an even smaller person, you only need this much space to gather into your own waist. I'm going to make a skirt that's going to be yay length and then up to whatever width the fabric is. So you would have to be cutting like right here and up with one piece, another piece that you will gather like a lot, and then this will create a really huge fluffy skirt, I guess, if it's something that you like. In most cases, I prefer a better fitted skirt rather than just depending on the size of your fabric to determine how your skirt would look like. Starting out with a bodice will ensure that your garment will fit you properly instead of leaving it up to the piece of fabric to decide how your garment's gonna look like. Okay, so now let's make this the width, and then this is whatever amount of length you get the fabric. For example, a small person might be able to fit a skirt front, skirt back. So if we create a template that is correct for your own body, you can start tiling your patterns onto your fabric, and then you know, okay, so I've got this width to work with and this length to work with, and you can plan ahead. So like, let's say you want to make another shirt out of this boxy top, and then you can plan your top here, and you got a top, a small skirt, and then you still got enough room for a bigger size skirt. If this is long enough, you can make two pant legs with a crotch curve here and a crotch curve here, so you have two pant legs to create another pair of pants. So this way of working with your own measurements, you can plan ahead to see how many garments you want to create. Your skirt would determine how much fabric you're going to use, right? So if you're going to just create a skirt, essentially you don't need that much fabric. You can ignore this side. You have just this one small piece of leftover fabric that you can use for something else. If not a shirt, you can make a bag or combine with another leftover piece of fabric for something else. If this was your skirt template, cut this in half, you have your front, and then you have your back. For me, I think it's just wasting this amount of fabric or this amount of fabric that you could use for a shirt. This way of creating your zero waste garment, you'll create minimal waste and maximum piece of leftover fabric for whatever you want to make, instead of having to be forced to use everything for just one garment for the sake of being zero waste. You can just play around, like once you have your pattern pieces that fit you, you can always play around with different placements, and then just to see how things would fit. That way you can get as many garments out of this piece of fabric as you can. Basically, what I like about this approach is you're not wearing the excess fabric, you're actually puzzle piecing to create more use out of each piece of fabric.
I'm going to be showing you how I create my garments. So my approach is to take the desired outcome, measure those measurements accurately according to my body and proportions, and then create a template or a bodice or a pattern that I can place on top of my fabric, and then tile those templates or patterns onto the piece of fabric for minimal to zero waste. This way I end up with something that I'm more comfortable wearing, and I'm not using as much fabric, and I'm not wasting fabric on something that I don't like in the end. For example, I have a skirt to skirts transformation, which is essentially a zero waste pattern based on personal measurements. You can go back and forth with this design. It's very simple. You can check it out. I'll link it right here. I also have an example of how I reworked a free zero waste hoodie into a size that fits my body, and you can follow that example to do the same for yourself. Up next, I have a series of explorations on how to create your own personal zero waste pant block and top block so you can create any style that you want. Be sure to subscribe to keep an eye out for those new coming videos. Thanks for watching. Bye. Have a great day.